Static here, straight from the Static. We have a great guest here today, Mr. Shawn NG, KWK, KAYFABE Heroes Series 1. It's coming your way soon. Pre-orders went up, and today we're going to chat a little bit with him. He's an old friend of ours. Actually, I don't know if you guys know, if you listen to the old podcast I used to do, Shawn used to fill in when I wasn't able to do the show, or when Shawn was a guest. It was actually so weird. When Shawn was a guest on the podcast, I had other obligations. It was so weird. We never got to speak until today.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. But anyway, without further ado, KWK, here he is, Shawn NG.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me, man. We're on a little bit of different time zones here. I just rolled out of bed.
Difference.
I just rolled out of bed. You're going to be getting in bed soon. So yeah.
Oh, these days I don't even sleep until like 4. Like, this whole line, the whole planning process, everything, got me into such a bad sleeping pattern because the entire operation, despite the whole thing is actually rather small, but the operation itself is relatively big. So
yeah.
There are times I have to chase up some stuff from New Zealand side, and then the UK side, and then the US side. So everyone's in different time zones.
Yeah.
So
a little bit of a headache.
For me to try to catch up with everybody, I think this week is a little bit better. So because we already rolling out with the first figure. But before all the preparation and stuff, there's a certain time that that has to be done like this, and then maybe someone that agreed to work with a certain thing do not like a certain way, and then start throwing a fit. So you try to ease the situation down, but then your back of your head, you're already steaming because you're chasing off everybody. So that does happen a few times, and there were a bit of change of plans in between because for example, initially we were going to be rolling out with all 4 wrestlers, but because the moment I found out was like, wow, there's so many companies coming out with figures this month. Okay, you know what? Take a step back. So, we rolled out with Mantar first because if I just felt, some people didn't like it, but for me, I felt that might have been a little better, for people's pockets anyway. So people don't have
slowly.
Because then, people don't have to go, oh my God, I want to buy a whole set, but, I can't.
Yeah.
And
I feel like they run into that issue a lot.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that right now, for the pre-orders. And I think if we didn't do it in a way like this, I wouldn't have thought the first week of pre-orders would be hitting the at least my minimum expectations.
Yeah.
So to speak. So and I've seen people there are a couple of people that because they want the prototype so bad. It's only one in the insert for each one, for variant A or variant B. I've seen people ordering, for example, a case of 4 on variant A, a case of 4 for variant B. And I've seen people ordering 2 cases. You're talking about 8 figures then for each variant, just because they want to go, oh, I want to try my luck on that. Or some people go, I'll buy 2 each.
For the Series 1, for KAYFABE Heroes Series 1, how did you go about starting the lineup? I always think about this too. When there's you've talked about this before we started. There's so many different companies coming out with wrestling figures. Sometimes it's a little watered down. Sometimes guys aren't available.
Right.
I think your Series 1 lineup is pretty solid, to be honest with you. But how did you in case you guys watching aren't familiar? Series 1 has PN News, Mantar, and the Comic Kid.
Yes.
Yes. So PN News is probably my number one there, just because you know
PN
you
News is
lure with
well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the September 1st pre-order.
yeah.
I was
Next.
actually just talking to Paul like 2 days ago, and I think he forgot what it was written in the contract. And he was asking me, he was like, because basically every single wrestler that signed will get, you know, at least a few, you know, I'm not going to give out the numbers, but at least a few of the variants that is made of them.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
so they can give it to family members. They can, you know, if they don't want to, they can sign it and, you know, sell on their own or whatever. But, you know, it's a small number. It's not a huge number, obviously. So he asked me, and you know, and I said to him, I said, because, you know, he was helping me to pass on the message to Mantar's family. So I said, you know, once it's finished producing, I'll be sending those and the test shot and the prototype, you know, all together to Mike's family. So he asked me, he was like, "Can I get a few?" I said, "It's within the contract that you are going to get some as well." I was like, okay. So
Yeah,
he
I feel like
forgot.
it's a foreign world, you know, sometimes, especially in his case, if he hasn't had a figure, he's never had a figure. So he's probably
Well, except for the unreleased, you know,
yeah, the glue.
yeah, the
But
Gulu.
yeah, he probably has no idea how these things work, you know. Just
You're,
go
you're
about
wrong. You're wrong, man. You're wrong. He
really?
is very. Oh, I gotta say, Paul PNUs. He is, and even Mike before he passed away as well. Both were very hands on.
Oh wow.
They
Wow. I
are
never guessed
very hands on, and they understood that say for example, they actually understood more than some of the people that are mouthing about production. Believe it or not.
that.
Like seriously,
That's insane.
like some people were like complaining like, oh, you know, normally, you know, it should take this long, this long, this long. And you know, that's why they were so patient with me, because I mean, if you've seen how I do things like with the lines and stuff like that, you know, through the whole time, I've constantly been giving updates. And some people are like, oh, you know, you bombard us with so much information that we lost track. But I'm constantly giving updates that, you know, exact,
Yeah,
at
I
least,
think
you
your
know,
page is
I'm doing something.
constant updated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, they understood the same way. They were like, oh, it's cool. It's cool. I know you're working behind the scene. Like, you know, they were really cool with it. And I think also one of the thing with the whole transparent and Yoshi something today as well, being the fact that I'm his agent outside of Japan, and you know, constantly talking, updating, and all that kind of stuff. So you know, I think there's this certain transparency that we have, and of course there are times where, you know, I may have forgotten to update it a certain someone, you
Yeah.
know, with the whole thing, because, you know, like, I mean, I don't have a secretary, you know. I mean, the whole KWK brand is not really a big company. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's really me. So, you know, I'm talking to, say, for example, design team, and sometimes I do miss out stuff on the design, you know, to let the design team know that there's certain something. And then, you know, someone will be like, "You're not transparent enough." I'm like, I didn't say that. Like, you know, I want this at a certain time. Like, you know, so you know, it will get into a little bit of that kind of stuff. But you know, I think the wrestlers are more understanding
Yeah.
with the situation. So, you know, once I tell them, I think Yoshi was a little bit upset because supposedly his figure was going to be released for pre-order on his birthday. But, you know, I had to call him, and it was bad too, because it was like right on his birthday. And I said, we got to pull back until November. He was like, why? And then I explained to him the situation. He was upset. I said, look, man, you know, trust me, you know, I'm putting your figure, you know, the fourth for a reason. Okay, it's a plan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. It's all
so you know, he So at the end, he understood. There's something that Yoshi and I are still talking about to do as well, and I'm hoping it works, because if it does, it will be very beneficial for the line and him.
Yeah.
So there's something I'm working on, and we'll see what happens.
You gave me we talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago. You gave me a timeline. I mean, it's a rough timeline. I don't know if you want to give or take 9 months to a year to have these in your hands. You would say, like, when can we expect the line to actually have a product?
Well, right
I
now
know that's hard to say.
Right now we've listed to April, which, part of me, I'm still thinking that I will still have to heavily push it.
April. Okay.
Yeah. I'm still thinking I still have to heavily push it. I was supposed to be going to a factory next week.
Okay.
To meet up with the factory and just really get the ball rolling before even the pre-order ends. The prototypes are stuck in the customs right now as we speak.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
and it's been driving me nuts, because I've been calling the courier, and they were like, we don't know what's going on, we just have to wait. And I'm like, well, I don't want it to be wait for so long, because like initially, and the factory was calling me yesterday too, and they were like, are you guys coming over next week? And I said, well, I'm still waiting on the prototypes to arrive, then I can go with you guys, like go to the factory, meeting with you guys, talking details and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because like there are a couple of things that I want to properly talk about face to face. I think a lot of times, and that's one problem as well, when you are not in front of whoever is managing the factory, that there's a certain thing that you want, but you cannot express it.
Gotcha.
And I think that can be a problem a lot of times. With I would say, with even with some of the competitors, I think that's the most difficult part. I mean, I still have to fly over. It's just the fact that, my flying distance in comparison to some of the competitors are closer.
Yeah.
And I do kind of speak the language. So, that's a plus. But at the same time, it's that easy? Not really. I mean, I have my complications as well. For example, you were talking about the wrestlers. You were talking about the wrestlers. Like, there are companies signed like 150 wrestlers.
Yeah, to get. How did you? I guess I do like the series. I do like the lineup you picked. But how did you go about that? Like guys that are available, I guess, like guys that maybe haven't figures or.
Well, the couple of things I've been thinking about is that, okay, how were their notoriety? Okay. And, how, what can I make out of them in terms of as a figure?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're very toyetic. They're very toyetic guys too.
If you're looking at it, Mantar, PN News, Yoshitatsu, Comic Kid, all the way, even for Series 2, okay? So for Series 2, for example, Lost Conquistadors. I think these two are a little bit more difficult, but one of them is my friend, and that's why I pushed to sign him. Rene Dupree, Sylvain Grenier, Laurie Stones, and Taka Michinoku, another friend of mine, and also TJP, who
another solid lineup. Yeah.
And I can tell you this right now. Series 2, we're expecting to see the jumper look, which before I was like, hell no. But
that's kind of like my least favorite.
I can say this right now: 2 figures will be jumpers.
Nice. Okay.
And initially I was thinking, oh man, you know what? I don't want to do jumpers. But then, once I started looking at it, there are a certain wrestler that you can actually make them into jumpers that you're feeling, okay, you know what? That's the right ones to do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I could pretty much guess probably the ones that are going to have that. But
yeah. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the Los Conquistadors before, so obviously those two are not going to be. And you can try to guess which two are going to be, but
I think I have the two. Yeah,
but I just felt there's like if I'm really going to make the jumpers, because the jumpers are the difficult ones. Let's be honest, there are some that look good. There's some you'll be end up scratching your heads, like even. And I'm not trying to complain about the competitors or whatever, because that's them. And I just want to stay in my own lane. But even for the old lines. So say for example, Repo Man, for example, why are you putting Repo Man as a jumper, for crying out loud?
That's the truth. Like, that's one of my least favorite Hasbros, the Repo Man, actually. And I don't like the jumper.
Let me tell you something funny. I have, and this is one of the rarest figure, I would say, in the Hasbro line, and that's a dual language card. Okay, Repo Man figure. And I think I'm the only person that has that.
I've never seen that.
I actually have it in front of me, but it's like on the bottom of the pile. So I don't want to pull it out, because once I pull it out, everything falls. And because I have a Paint Master Mr. Perfect on the very top, which if that one drops and breaks, it's gonna really kill me.
Yeah. Whenever you get around to it, I like to see a photo of that, man.
I think it's on my page. I think you can type it up and
it is. I'll check
in
that
my
out.
Facebook page.
Yeah. I'll look that up.
Yeah, because I remember that was one of the first one that I took pictures of.
Who's your I mean, maybe it's hard to say. Who's your favorite guy in the Series 1 lineup, you would say?
Oh.
If you had
now you're making me to play favoritism.
You always got to have a favorite. I feel like you got it. You got to have a favorite.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Or maybe you're out of the four guys, maybe the guy you admire the most, or the guy you like the most, or the most toyetic figure in the lineup.
You know what? I would just say in terms of the figures.
Yeah, in terms of the figures. Not
in terms of the figures, all four of them. I think the work that Daniel did really brought out the individuality of each wrestler. Even though PNU's and Mantar has parts that are the same molds.
The Mantar,
the torso, awesome. The lower leg.
Yeah.
But for example, PNU's got the gold necklace and got the removable as well, and with the gold microphone. Mantar with the gigantic bullhead. That caught my eye immediately as soon as I seen that. I think that got a lot of people talking.
It did.
That head alone, when I first saw the render of it, it wasn't even done into a prototype. I was like, whoa.
The head is,
and I said to Daniel,
fantastic.
I said, WTF have you done? Like, for real, like, because it was that good.
Is it a problem? Is it a problem? Just out of curiosity, fitting it on the package or the packaging, or that doesn't matter? Head in there.
It won't be, because we thought about it, and that's why you see how the packaging is with like the signatures moving upwards.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna have it to the side. So
the side piece.
The Mantar bubble itself is going to be bigger than any of the predecessors that you've ever seen.
Yeah, just by that piece.
Yeah. Right. It's just because of that piece. Initially, I was thinking about, should I put it in front of the figure, but then you're blocking something of the figure. So
for Mantar collectors, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So by having it on the side, it's still very clear that you see everything. So I was thinking, probably that's the way to go. It's just the fact that now it gives me another problem as well, which is I really have to make sure the bubble is not coming out of the card. so that's also one of the things that I was planning to talk to the factory about. Whenever the prototype comes in, which it to me is a little bit like this right now for me, because it gets me really antsy.
Oh, I can't imagine, man. Oh my god!
Like because the thing is, it's not as easy with the US. in terms of, stuff coming in from overseas, if you got a small package or whatever, a lot of times, whatever. And I lived in the US before. I know how easy it is to receive packages, but whereas, where I live now, it's a lot more difficult because they check for everything. If your custom form is not correct by a bit, like, the stuff that you reported, everything's not going by a bit, which is, like I said, it's a totally different system. They will hold it. They will hold it and, ask questions until that they're satisfied. And that's where, you either have to pay a certain import tax or a certain thing in order for it to move out.
Gotcha.
So
that's a little bit,
if so basically, if your form is not done right, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And I think I'm running into that situation right now where whoever sent over the prototypes, and I'm not trying to blame him because it happens, and just somehow the custom saw that as because also I order a lot of stuff from overseas as well, so by that time I'm sure the customs has already seen my name, say, oh, this guy again.
Yeah.
So they obviously probably checked me like that, but yeah, so I'm still waiting. So I'm hoping they don't hold it up for too long, because then what happens is it will also affect the production as well.
Gotcha.
Because the actual prototypes, I mean, the factory has seen it, and the factory was telling me, like, I need to see it properly, before we even go into molding.
Yeah.
And perfectly understandable, because they don't want to screw it up either. And even though I've already shown them, even they already have the 3D renders already, the original file that I sent over already.
Yeah.
They still feel, it will be better to have something like in hand and all that. So you look at the different styles of Yoshi that we have. The going back to your question earlier, so every single one of them have its own individuality. Comic Kid, man, the first time ever for that figure.
I think that's what makes the uniqueness to the series one too. Because I was going to ask you, you think the one of my last questions was going to be, do you think the demand is going to be there? And I know you already sold X amount of units, but I think what makes your series different is because there's, like I said at the beginning, there's so many. Everybody right now has I feel like everybody right now is coming out with a wrestling figure company. But
I think I'm gonna start my own too.
I just started my own too.
I just drew up 60 figures.
Lineup.
Me too. I just started mine.
Common Kid. Seen it before. PN News.
I think a lot of times with the whole thing is more with the content.
Yeah,
I think it's the content, not necessarily. Okay, you know what? We're going to make like 600 Hulk Hogan's.
It's
like,
fine for my ego, brother.
Okay, like, and you probably. And I remember when before we were on, I look back at the question that you initially was planning on asking me, and go back to the whole thing with Kamala.
Oh yeah, I actually was going to flip that one to the end because I was like, it's not fit what we're talking about.
Well, I'm just gonna go.
That was a big question for me. I wanted to know what happened to that.
Too much of a hassle. Basically, they
those Kamalas look great, by the way.
Yeah, it looked great, and the family decided not to work with us.
Gotcha.
At the end of March, so. And there were a period of time where I planned on renegotiating with them, all the way to mid-April, and that's when Paul Diamond signed. So right away, and around that time they decided to go nope. Kama's estate decided to go no. So and I know and. Back in my head, I know what's going to happen. when people find out about Kamala, and people are gonna ask questions. And I felt there has to be someone that kind of have to take away that attention, because I know how great that figure looked.
It looked awesome. And me personally, I love Kamala's timeline of figures anyway. So I thought that fit right in perfectly. I thought it looked great. And the same thing with Kamala
and that's the thing. And I felt very disappointed with that. Yeah. I'll be straight and honest. I know there was a competitor the other day that made a rumor about that I was stealing Kamala's likeness and whatever, trying to make a big scene of it. Which again, I'm gonna go in public and say it wasn't true.
Tell them, Shawn.
Even the estate knows it's not true. So
I've heard that.
It was just the fact that the whole thing, just something that they didn't want to do. And I don't want to go into too much details, because that's really digging into business stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the fact that they just didn't want to, they just didn't want to do it. And I'm hoping, maybe after the entire series one, there's a way that I can really show the numbers to them, everything. Then maybe they will agree to it. But I can't guarantee it, obviously.
You have the prototypes? Do you have any of the prototype painted pieces?
Yes, I have them in the box, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I still have the prototypes, but it's not something that I want to part with at this point, because it's.
Oh, no way. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because I mean, you parting with that kind of stuff, and you never know how legally the family's going to be looking at this, and I'll just keep it as that.
Here's a quick look at the Mantar Series 1. I mean, look at that headpiece. Comet Kid. Great colors. Very toyetic. Great piece here. My favorite. PN News. Can't wait to get this in hand. And to close out the series, Yoshitatsu. Love the head sculpt on that. Those are the 4 figures in series 1.
When I get a sample of it. Most likely what I'm going to do is that, how are they going to go inside inside of a protector, because, they will have to be shipped in a protector. So, obviously I probably
how it's going to fit
with the bubble, and like really chuck it to the wall and see, if the bubble just like pop off or whatever. And then, maybe once I get the figure, I'm probably going to try I got a pair of scissors here, probably just kind of stab it and see if it works. Because say, for example, the ram head. Okay. Initially I wanted to be like a finger puppet, but.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, so with like real fur and stuff like that. But then I realized, it's way too much work for a small size production. And a lot of these companies that do finger puppets or plush dolls, they just don't want to do such small numbers. So we decided to go, okay, if that's the case, let's go with rotocast. So, it will be, it still does the trick.
Yeah.
Then, I will still have to test it out and see if the rotocast is like, some of these rotocasts, you squeeze it hard enough, it will pop a hole.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm kind of worried with that. So, there, once it gets to the factory, still kind of like this kind of implementation as well. So, once I get them, obviously, that's why it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to test it out. So, you guys know what you're going to expect at the very least.
Yeah.
I think as a toy maker, I think I could not be any more transparent than I could be at this point.
I think so. Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't think there has been any. And I know people want to dig, and they're always going to dig. I just don't think that as a toy maker, there is anyone being as transparent as I have been right from the get-go.
No, I don't think so. Not you've definitely laid, especially the timeline, all the details. I'd say you're pretty transparent.
And you know, if I were like, and I know it get lost in translations a lot because, you know, everybody has their own interpretation and whatnot. I've been quite an open book, and I'll be straight and honest.
Yeah.
And some people will probably, you know, use other stuff to like, oh, you know, want to dig you and just dig and all that. And you know, it's business.
Yeah.
And I understand that. It's going to be that part where, you know, people are going to be all like, oh, you know, don't know what the figure is going to come out to, how bad is it going to be, or what happens if that. And I understand that. So, you know, and that there's a part of me that I didn't want Mentor to be the first one to get rolled out because, you know,
that's probably such a great, out of the series. That's probably the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's, I mean, I look at it like this. It was either going to be Mentor or Comic Kid. That was the first one that was going to be rolled out in my eyes.
Yeah.
Those
are out of the four. I'd say those are the two most toyetic out of the four. I mean,
I would say the two that had the most notoriety amongst collectors.
Comic
That's
Kid,
how I feel.
Mentor. Yeah. Personally, I like the PN News, man. That's probably my number one. But
well, wait until you see the Yo Baby singlet variant. Oh man, wait until you see that, because that's the one that PN News himself actually handpicked and wanted that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I decided to go with the singlet similar to the Galoob one. So, you know, it's still baby blue, but it's a little bit different to the one that people have seen from the Galoob. I can say this. I'm actually thinking of a completely different line that is absolutely nothing to do with any of these current old to new wrestling figures have to do. And I've discussed preliminary with Paul about it, that there may be a line later down the line for him and Mike, basically featuring the big round wrestlers.
Oh yeah, okay.
but it's not, it's most likely it's not going to be selling worldwide. It will be, I think the target will be more of a Comic-Con pre-order type of figures. So it's something that I'm exploring, but I think it'll be more to the Asian market. It's a line that's going to be more. If you look at all the wrestlers that I signed, they're not huge names, they're not big names. They're small guys in the business. Like, they're really the little guys in the business, no matter how you look at it.
Oh yeah,
every single one that I've signed right now, okay, some had a little bit more notoriety than others.
Yeah,
but everyone else is pretty much a small guy. So, you know, Mentor, PN News, Paul Diamond, Pat Tanaka. Okay, I mean, Orient Express is coming, and you know, Takamichinoku, Yoshitatsu, I'll say Laredo Kid, you know, La Resistance, the Los Conquistadors, you know, TJP, ODB, you know, every single one. They are all small.
They're on the
they're not like mega names. They're not big names. But, you know, to me, I feel that will, one, make the brand different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I really want to make sure the figures stand out. So, you know, there's all these little tiny subtle stuff that we do. You know, because simply put, we just do not have that much resources in comparison to the big companies. So, not only that, and that's one reason why, we're signing guys that are lesser commodity. The other day, I remember somebody said, why is Shawn signing all these guys that nobody wants?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And to me, and I was like, why are you guys not looking at this in a different perspective? That, these guys have never had a figure made of them.
I think they're interesting. I like the series one. I like the lineup you chose.
Yeah, and there are a lot of guys that, I mean, for example, there's something Yoshi and I are working on that depending how series one go. And there's something Yoshi and I are working on that we there's a certain wrestler on the list that we want. And he has a connection to certain of those. And there are some that other people that I know have connection to. And, that eventually I may think about signing these guys. There's some stuff that not whatever we said should not be on air.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you coming on for the interview, and hopefully we could do this again. Less distraction, a little more closer to the line when it comes out. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
KAYFABE Heroes Series 1. The Mantar went on sale August 1st. PN News September 1st. Comet Kid October 1st. Yoshitatsu November 1st. Rounding out the set, that is Series 1, available at those online retailers as well as shop KWK.com. That's the main site you want to go to for the KAYFABE Heroes. Shop KWK.com. KWK is the man.